All right. Well, good morning from us over here in the East, I guess. We're here to talk about HellCats. But just before we do that, let's just introduce you to Dimitri and who he is, what he does, and how he got to where he is today. So welcome. I mean, this isn't your first time on the show, Dimitri. You've been here before, but I think this is the first time that you and I have actually ever sat down live on air.
Yeah, we've had a couple of group meets. There was that sort of EOS one recently, and then joined one with Sean as well. So yeah, this is our first one-on-one broadcast, which is, thanks for hosting, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So who are you, Dimitri, and how did you get into this space? And what are all the things that because you're working on a few different things, I guess now.
Yeah. It's I feel like most the crypto stories just begin with a bit of curiosity, man, and that's how it sort of started for me. I guess it was end of last year, and fell into a bit of DeFi, mainly on the EOS network. At the time, the financial system didn't really quite sit right with me, and then came across a few things in DeFi that really sparked the curiosity trail. And as I said, that was end of last year, and since then it feels like it's been years I've been in the space. But I look at it now, and it's pretty much just a year. And since then, I've had multiple gigs in the space. Kicked off with EOS Starter. We were onboarding projects that are looking at building on the EOS mainnet, focusing on games and NFTs. And through EOS Starter, I then hooked up with the Crypto Rider team, in particular Crypto Finny, and learning the ropes from Taylor Arnold. We worked pretty intimately together. Taylor at the time was sort of the marketing manager, and sort of just shadowed him, and along with Brendan Woodward, B-Dub, just was amazed by the space and what the potential development is. And whilst this is all going on, I was interacting with the Terra ecosystem, and one of the major things that stood out to me versus these layer one chains is the UST. So once I sort of saw that, I was just like, wow, there's something pretty crazy getting developed here. And then from there, again, the curiosity just started amplifying. Was involved in a launch on the Terra ecosystem. And then, yeah, man, Taylor and I were just like, hey, we work really well together. We feed off each other really well, honest feedback, and continually push each other to drive the best. And we decided to do a project together, and we stumbled across HellCats. And since then, it's been a pretty extraordinary process, learning not just about developing your own project, but managing the team, managing the community, and it's been nothing short of truly amazing. And super thankful for where I'm at, and super thankful for the people who have been really generous with their time, their knowledge, and their experience in sharing with me. So yeah, quick wrap up of how I got to HellCats, I guess.
It's a really serious story for this early.
I try not to be too serious, but it comes out in me. I apologize. I know this show isn't about seriousness.
Yeah, I mean, what am I doing? There we go. All right, sorry about that.
No, you're right.
There's chickens clucking in the background. Yeah, I mean that's a really fast story, because like usually when we have people guess, it's interesting to me because it kind of seems like a very similar story to mine, like 4 years ago. I got into the space, and I met some people that like just kind of showed me where I needed to focus, and then that kind of helped me to realize like the potential, right? And for me at the time, it was actually EOS, right? And it was through a social media platform, Tribe, which is now Loop.markets, which actually has ported over to Terra as well. They're the DeFi arm of all that's going on over in the Terra blockchain. And so it's kind of interesting because I was like in the same way. I was like, really interested in EOS and the potential that was coming out of there. And there wasn't really NFTs. I mean, they were talking about images and things like that, but for the most part, they were different kind of scenarios that were happening. So, but so for some people who might not know, because a lot of our viewers here on this channel are interested in NFTs, and a lot of them are interested in a few of them are interested in DeFi. And just because of where we are in the Uplift world right now, a lot of people that we cover, a lot of projects that we cover are generally sitting on the Wax blockchain, some on Ethereum, some on a few other, like some of the DeFi stuff on Binance and things like that. But we haven't really, Terra's a little bit of a new ecosystem. And so you mentioned about UST. And so yes. I think this is a really important point because UST is something that doesn't necessarily exist. Like there are stable coins on Binance, there are stable coins on Ethereum. But UST is in kind of a category all its own. The way that the Terra ecosystem is mobilizing and utilizing UST is quite interesting. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe go into a little bit of, what's so special about, this UST stablecoin on Terra, and why is it different from some of these other stablecoins that are on some of these other blockchains?
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to pretend to be a fully in-depth expert. There's a lot of information out there that I'll probably miss in this wrap up. But in short, when we look at these DeFi products that are claiming to be decentralized, fully decentralized, I find that one of the major issues is that the economy in that chain is heavily reliant on USDT and USDC. And for me, that isn't total decentralization. So when I came across Terra and UST, and sort of put together that a decentralized economy needs decentralized money, it sort of made sense for me to delve into that and explore the UST market. And when I looked at its market cap versus USDT and USDC and had a look at some protocols such as Anchor, Apollo, and there's a few Astroverses coming out soon as well, it sort of like started clicking for me that Luna isn't trying to compete with L1 platforms. Like at the end of the day, I feel like all L1 platforms are competing for the same thing: better, faster, and cheaper. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, EOSIO can't be beaten. Like it's instant, it's for free, and it's got the best scalability. So I don't think Luna is trying to compete against like these L1 chains, but rather they are trying to create like a fully decentralized economy on the chain, and that's pretty exciting.
Well, I mean, EOS might get beat, and if it gets beat, it's its own fault because it's just been running finances into the ground, right? And like, so I'm not a maximalist, but like I'm kind of I want to support projects or blockchains that I think are doing good things for the community. That's kind of where I came from in the space with Uplift Nation way back in the day. Now working with the Uplift world and still kind of looking at that aspect or that side of things. I don't have any major issues with Ethereum per se. I think the development there is great. I think what's happening there is great. My biggest problem with Ethereum is like, I'll be 100% honest about it. My biggest problem with Ethereum is DeFi, and it doesn't fix the problem. It allows the people with more money to be able to front run everyone else, right? Now, for example, is doing some interesting things with DeFi that kind of prevent that, right? And some of these other, EVMs are kind of, trying to fix it. I know Polygon's, trying to do a good job. Some of these layer 2 solutions and things like that, right? But, there's a lot of other blockchains that got released over the course of the last year or two that are great blockchains that just aren't being used. I mean, one of my favorites way back in the day was Ryblox. And if you've been around long enough to know Ryblox, you'll know that they rebranded into Nano. And once they rebranded, it was all over. Like, I mean, actually they did okay, but I just like saying Ryblox. That sounds like some cool ninja name. But yeah, like some of these other, like Icon, for example, like I still think the Icon will do good, but they were kind of like the Korean government was looking at them for implementation for education and for hospitals and all this type of stuff. But they just never took off. But one of the interesting things about Terra is you look at the Terra ecosystem and it's really buzzing. Like, it's buzzing in a way that a lot of these other ecosystems didn't. And I think that can partially be attributed to NFTs. I think it can partially be attributed to the DeFi. I think, like, in a way, and I'm not saying that they're not a good blockchain, but in a way, Terra was kind of in the right place at the right time for like all of the, thrusters to align, to just get it to a place where a lot of people, were able to get in there. They had the funding. There was a lot of community funding, right? There was a really good community that was building it up from the beginning. The tokenomics are fairly spread out from what I can see. They've started releasing some NFT projects. As you know, there's very few, but I think that that's going to change really quickly because, as people, discover this, I think that more and more people are going to come in there. And they don't seem to have that. They don't seem to have the hang up of a lot of other blockchains, right? And like one of the problems I think with EOS is no matter how good it gets, there's still a lot of people that are pissed off about it that will never come there. It doesn't matter how good the blockchain is. There's a whole group of people that you're going to have a really hard time winning over, right? And I think like with Terra, it's interesting because they seem to be kind of a little bit outside of all of the animosity that some of these other blockchains get, just because they're newer. I noticed the Terra community. Sorry, I'm going to say it, but I know I'm going to get myself in trouble here. I like what's happening in Terra, but I noticed Terra community, there's a bunch of people who are really whiny in there. They're crying about things and they're whining about things, which to me is like, okay, fair enough. We're still at the beginning. If we're still at that place where people are crying and whining about certain things and championing decentralization for the benefits and the beauty of it, but then at the same time, when they mess up and they lose a little bit of money or they do something that they didn't know was going to have an impact, they cry for price manipulation. It tells me that we're still in really early days, right? And that's what, like 1%. Like I'm not putting down Terra as a whole. I'm just saying you rarely do you see this in these other blockchains. What it tells me is it tells me that this is really new, right? It tells me that we're on the verge of something that could potentially become, the next Wax or the next, EOS or the next Polygon or any of these kind of blockchains that have been working, really hard to carve out their own sector in the space. Terra hasn't really done that per se yet. And I think that to get back to what we were talking about, I think that UST implementation of allowing users to actually use the stablecoin that's on the network as if it were, the blockchain token, for example. And not only that, but actually, I believe Terra is burning Terra as well. Like Terra is being burnt as well, right? So the supply there is actually also coming down, and so it's quite interesting. So Simon has a question. How long did it take you to grow the stash? I think that's for
you or me.
I don't know. I would call myself a beard man, but yeah.
Sorry, just a couple of mental notes that I was taking when you were speaking, and please interrupt whenever if someone has a question. I can't see it from my end. I really appreciate what Ethereum's built, and at the end of the day, the vast majority of blue chip NFTs will remain there. Ethically, I'm not a massive fan of Ethereum. At the end of the day, crypto was built for accessibility to all people, and I feel like what percentage of this world can afford to spend between $100 and $800 on a transaction? For me, not many can. So I don't feel like the foundations of Ethereum sit well with me ethically. Now, another thing that you mentioned was the burning of Terra. So my understanding is that for every dollar that is the market cap, so every market cap dollar that's increasing with UST, the equivalent dollar worth is being burnt in Luna. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be 10%, which is about 9 million Terra tokens to be burnt very soon as well. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting tokenomics for the whole ecosystem, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what happens. So tell us about HellCats a little bit. What is HellCats?
Yeah, man.
And
man.
You know, where did the idea come from, and what are you guys trying to achieve with this new NFT project?
Man, Taylor and I, as I said, have been working together on a couple of projects. He was helping me out with some EOS starter stuff. I was helping him out with some crypto writer stuff. And man, we just vibed, we clicked, and there was a lot of communication. Like most days we'd be on a call and we're just chatting for a couple of hours doing our work. It was sort of like being in a work space with somebody live. It was kind of cool just to jam with somebody. And from that, we just sort of had a few ideas brewing together, and together we sort of came up with HellCats. In short, the HellCats is a reflection of like the degens of the crypto world, the outcasts, the people who are seen upon by the normies as weird and like a little bit too extroverted. So we wanted to create a project that would depict that, because in real life sort of social groups, sort of how we feel, not necessarily ostracized, but definitely not within the norms, which obviously we're extremely content with. So that was sort of the basis of the idea of HellCats, and the main hashtag being Raise Hell. Since then, we've sort of obviously been doing a lot of market research in the Terra NFT space, which you have briefly mentioned. It kicked off pretty much exactly 1 month ago. Galactic Punks launched on the 2nd. And since then, I believe there's probably 8 to 10 projects on there now. And there's 2 major platforms, Nowhere Art and Random Earth. If you launch on Random Earth, you can still sell on secondary on the other platform. That's not an issue. So yeah, it's obviously an extremely infancy stage, and we sort of saw a opportunity in the market there to really explore. And since then, we've come together with the team. So myself, Taylor, Brendan Woodward, Lucas Salazar, and Gabe Fu. So Gabe's been really great in integrating us with the community, as well as Taylor and I and the rest of the team doing so as well. So we've had some pretty cool ideas, and we're going to implement some incentives to really boost this infancy stage. So one of the main things is that we're going to be implementing a treasury fund. So for every secondary sale, 1% will be going to Random Earth, the marketplace, and the rest will be going into our treasury wallet. And if you have a look at our recent blog, we explain this in depth, but what we'll be doing with the funds is 60% of the funds approximately will be going back into some sort of like yielding in the protocol, so Apollo and Anchor, as well as holding Luna as a token. And the other 20% will go back to purchasing other NFTs in the Terra ecosystem. And the other 20% will be going to purchase HellCats in the ecosystem as well. So,
okay, so
we really want to.
What's the point of? Because I think this is an interesting little take here. What's the point of purchasing? I want you to explain this a little bit, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. What's the point of purchasing other NFTs in the Terra ecosystem?
Well, we see like heaps of value in that. We want to support the ecosystem, especially during this next couple of weeks. We really want to boost some of these secondary sales. And, we know that the more money that these projects have, the more money that they have to develop, whether it's hiring new people or creating airdrops or hiring a new artist, whatever it may be. So on that front, we want to continue to pour money into the ecosystem rather than our own pockets. And then secondly, we can use this for promotion things. So, we have a bank of NFTs that, we run community games every day. We run poker games every day and give out NFT rewards on our Discord. So, we want to send them back out to the community as well. And at the end of the day, if we have a bit of a war chest behind us in the treasury fund, well, maybe we can scoop up some unloved NFTs that we see really high potential in the future. Taylor has a really keen eye for what makes a NFT project successful long term. So he'll be dealing with the NFT purchases and buying into and investing in some quality projects that are potentially undervalued in the market. So yeah, a wide range of reasons. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I think, and I think that's, like, it's so right now you'll be all right. I'm not sure. It's going to be tough to keep up. He might need an assistant in a few months when all of the projects start launching, because I think that there's a lot coming out. But yeah, very, very, very much so.
And just, let's just on that as well. Sorry. We have mentioned multiple times on our socials that we're like laser focused on being community driven, and just on that, I mentioned the treasury fund, but we're also donating 2% of our initial sales to the RSPCA, so Animal Welfare in Australia. So Taylor and I thought it was quite fitting for the project that we're doing, and also we love animals. And on that as well, we've also teamed up with Angel Protocol as well. So we'll be auctioning off some NFTs and donating that money. And yeah, we're pretty keen on continually giving back, and in particular to the Terra ecosystem. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. Something weird's about to happen. There we go.
We good?
Sorry about that.
No, you're right, bro.
I needed to do something because I couldn't. We were talking about this before, actually.
The new laptop.
Yeah, and so I lost. It's funny because I lost capacity to actually. I haven't quite got it all set up yet, and I lost capacity to share the screen, because what I was trying to do was share the screen of the HellCats, and it's like, no, you can't do that yet because you haven't enabled these protocols. So I was like, well, let's go to another dimension then, and we will see kind of what happens. So yeah, I want to go to the HellCats website. Now, can you give us some dates? Do you have any dates on what's happening here?
I
didn't see any on the. I didn't see any on the site, and I just wondered if it was, I was missing.
No, it hasn't been announced yet. We'll announce soon exactly what date. We've got 2 dates in mind, and we're just working with the marketplace at the moment to confirm which is best for us. But it'll be within 2 weeks.
Okay. And then your website isn't HellCats. Your website is Ray's.
No, it's HellCats NFT.
Oh, okay. Sorry about
that. .com. Yeah.
.com. Okay, there you go.
.com. Yeah. .com.
So let's pull that up here. There we go. And you can walk us through some of what we see here on the screen. It looks like there's a bunch of different avatars here, 5,000 randomly generated HellCats. So attribute-wise, is there anything you want to enlighten us about there?
Yeah, well, we've got about, give or take about 140 attributes. Now, most of them were, I'm going to say maybe 60% or 70% were created before we entered the space. It was something that we had obviously been working on weeks prior. And since then, we've been communicating with the community. We've got a suggestions channel in the Discord. And we've also been doing some collaborations. So we hooked up with Terrapins, Hero, and most importantly, the Lunar Bulls. So we've got some pretty cool attributes that will show that collaboration, and in particular, the Lunar Bulls. We've got a 1-for-1 Hell Bull that will be auctioned off, and 50% of the proceeds will be going to Angel Protocol as well. So we're super thankful of the connection that we've made with the Lunar Bulls. I think they were maybe the second project to launch on the Lunar ecosystem, top 3 definitely. And Taylor and I really enjoyed what we were reading online about them, so we reached out, and they've been really reciprocative in helping us grow the community, and allowing us to do this cross promo. So you also see a few Lunar Bulls attribute as well as the 1-for-1. So yeah.
And then down here, if we scroll down a little bit, you can see the roadmap, and you're talking about the club. I think you kind of talked a little bit about this earlier, in terms of the benefits, such as you talked a little bit about this, but maybe you can go into the club a little bit, because there's some things here that you didn't talk about. So exclusive NFT traders channel, the arcade with simple gamification, and the merchandise drops. So I'm assuming that by merchandise drops, you mean something different than these community NFTs?
Yes, I can either send you some merch samples or I can share my screen. But we've hooked up with the merch store who's doing some NFT projects, and I believe that we will be one of the feature products in the first week of launch. We didn't necessarily want to release that on the roadmap early on, but the community were calling for some sneak previews, so we ended up putting that up anyway. But yeah, hoodies, beanies, a couple other little things that will be coming out in HellCat form.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share your screen, go ahead. You can do
that. My laptop's just frozen. Give me 1 second.
All right. So Morton, I see you out there in the comments, Morton. I don't know what to tell you, because I'm not a U.S. citizen, but Morton's been pointing this out for a couple weeks now. I guess Terra's quite difficult for U.S. citizens to get their hands on, legally, I guess.
Right.
I don't know, I don't want to recommend a way around it, but I think that's a good thing and a bad thing, because once it does go onto a U.S. exchange, the price is just going to rocket, probably. Everything. But I don't know, Morton, because I'm not a U.S. citizen, so I'm not quite sure. And I know the team here at HellCats, they're Aussies, so I'm not sure if you want to tackle that, or the problem with the U.S. is it's kind of its own, right? Fair enough. He said he can pay 200 for 150. It's a losing proposition. Yeah, the problem here is the U.S. and I think that's going to be an issue for some time, actually. And it sucks. It really does. But I don't unfortunately have a solution to that, at least at this point. So I can share your screen if you're ready now.
Actually, I just sent you one image on chat if you wanted to just share that, because for some reason it's just
we can do
cooked it. One thing that I will say about the UST, right, is it's pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar, right? And this is my only thought that potentially may not be fantastic, is that it's not really a bet against inflation, if that makes sense. Like what happens in a couple of months, weeks, months, whatever it is, when the US keep printing, billions, if not trillions of dollars, that's sort of my only concern with it. Like Bitcoin is a bet against inflation, right? Whereas UST is not. So it's definitely something to consider when investing or looking at purchasing some.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's going to be hard to see what some of these stable coins do. And Terra as well. They have they have a AUST, I believe.
They've got pretty much every fiat currency exchange. Like I know they've got. Anyway, if you have a look at through their app, there's so many.
Yeah, there's a Korean one as well, I think I saw.
Yeah, definitely a Korean one.
Okay, so here's one of the merch things that you guys have.
Yep. Pretty cool. So we had a logo artist whip up some banners and some like PFP logos and then stuff for our merch as well. So that'll be exclusive for HellCat holders, the merch store. Something that will be implemented post launch as well.
So all sorts of different kinds of merch you guys have got. That are going to be coming out now. Are these going to be matched to the NFTs, or are these going to be like separate entities?
Matched as in,
so the NFT, and if you own the NFT, you'll have rights to the merch, or can you have like one without the other?
Right. No, I believe at this stage we're going to make it that only verified owners will be able to purchase, but it won't be like necessarily matched to your NFT at this point. We got a few things in the works that isn't fully confirmed just yet, but stay tuned. I think at the end of the day, our main message was like we didn't really want to double down. Like we're creating a product to start with, which is NFT, and then it's like we don't want to shill you like another product that you can buy. You know what I mean? Like it's not really something that we wanted to do. But as I said, the community was super keen to check out some merch, so we ended up doing so. I've actually got some sneak previews of a couple of 1-for-1s. I might screen share and get them up if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. If you have the ability, go for it.
See what I can do.
Yeah, it's always interesting. So we were chatting before, the stream about computers and things like that. Like, I've been operating off this old laptop forever. Some of our viewers might know this, so I had to finally pull the trigger and get a new one. But it's kind of crazy.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like to get it set up and stuff. It's like little things happen that you're like you didn't realize that you had done like so far way back in the future. So.
Yeah. So we got something here. So like just to break down some of the attributes, obviously we've got the turtleneck sweater. The mouth is its own attribute, so toothpick in the mouth, and he's grinning as well. The eyes, we've got a scar eye, and he's just got the earring as well. I know that this is one of Taylor's favorites as well. This is one of the 1-for-1.
He's pretty scary. He was pretty scary looking with that eye. I like these ones actually. I don't know what it is about this one. I've never seen this one, but I saw something similar. Yeah. It looks like interesting Egyptian pharaoh or something like that.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. This is the Egyptian sort of Sphinx cat that we've got going. This is a 1-for-1. As you can see, it's not hasn't been shown before. So yeah, we're pretty stoked with the way that this one came through. Another one here. So we've got the zombie fur, licking lips. The Raise Hell hoodie is pretty sweet. I'm a big fan of that attribute. And then we copped the beanie as well on this one here. What have we got here? This is the Angel 1-for-1. So this one here will be auctioned off, and all the proceeds will be donated to Angel Protocol. So yeah, pretty cool, this one.
What's Angel Protocol?
So they're a service that work on the Terra system. That pretty much the way it works is like the way we've linked up with them is that, hey, can you get in contact with RSPCA for us? Yep, sweet. And then they create the connection, we donate to them, and then they distribute the funds. So they're like a sort of medium to donate funds. Have I still got you?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, sorry. This one here as well. This one was a fan favorite because of the pill on the tongue, obviously. And we got another HellCat here. This was a new fur that we added because the community was pretty keen to see some new furs as well. Skull tee and leather jacket as well. And this was one of the collabs that we've did as well with Hero. So we've chucked their logo on the hoodie there with the zombie skin, swirly eyes, and pierced tongue as well. So yeah, we got a couple there.
Yeah, it's cool. So who's the artist then again?
So he wants to remain anonymous for now. We've been trying to get him onto the Discord and the socials, but he's pretty keen to keep his name anonymous at this point. But
Okay.
I will say he's been pretty extraordinary in terms of, like, we send him something and he's just like, yep, on it. Famous words, got it. And that's when we know Taylor and I are in safe hands, because we we obviously want to give the artist as much of a platform to be as creative as possible. We don't want to be like, hey, we want this, this, and this. It's just like, hey, can you create something with zombie fur, for instance sake? And then he comes back with that, and it's like, nice, man. That's nothing that I would have been able to imagine or do. So super thankful for him and his work.
Yeah, the zombie flesh fur was pretty cool. I'll have to give you that.
Yeah.
So what's the minting price on these? Do you guys have information on that yet?
Not yet confirmed either. We've got a price set in mind, but we'll release that pretty soon. We're just working with the platform as well to suggest what the best price is for the current marketplace. But we're taking suggestions in the Discord channel. So yeah, if you want to have your say, have a look at our Discord, and in particular the suggestions channel.
Okay, that's cool. And then, like, what about whitelists and things like that? Like, is this just going to be open? Are there going to be caps? Is there any information on that side of things?
Yeah, so I might actually, I'll just run through it. So at this point, we've obviously got 5,000 NFTs. We've got 2 whitelisting tiers, and they're called Troublemakers and Thugs. So the Troublemakers will have access to, I might just drop it here. They'll have access to 3 HellCats, and the Thugs will have access to two HellCats. Now, the way that we're going to set up the whitelisting is a little bit different to what's been happening on the system so far, and this is still to be confirmed. So, don't take this word for gospel, but we want to run the whitelist concurrently, so they're both auctioning off at the same time, and we're going to allow more people into the whitelist than actual delegated mints available. So, for instance sake, we'll have 1,200 troublemakers. Each can mint 3, so potentially they can purchase 3,600 mints, but we're going to cap it at 3,000 mints for that group as well. So it's not a guaranteed purchase if you're in that whitelist, if you're not online, if that makes sense. But
Okay.
They'll have a fair chance in terms of 2 hours to purchase as well.
Okay, cool. So in order to get on one of these lists, you need to, I guess, go over to the Discord and hang out.
Yeah, it's don't want to make like too much of a big deal about it in terms of like invites or XP or anything. It's just, join our community, have a bit of fun, chat some shit, drop some cat memes. Like we're just, Taylor and I are in the channel pretty much 14 hours a day. So we'll be there just to chat, and we've had really good community engagement, especially from the Lunar Bulls team. So we also give out heaps of NFTs playing poker every day. So yeah, just a place to come and hang out, show your face, and you get on the whitelist. It's nothing too crazy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, did you notice that like really smooth transition? Like when I went from here to there, it was pretty bad, but now then when I went from there to here, like I don't even think you noticed. That was pretty
No, I
smooth.
didn't.
That's some pretty smooth forethought there.
Nice.
The reason I did that actually was because I thought it would be good to put some gratitudes up. Now that I have that ability, so we're actually not at Uplifters Tower because I'm not there. I'm at the Denver EOS, but we can do that here. Why not? So this is our little gratitude monument here for Jenner EOS. Let's see.
I think I've thrown up a few up there already. Definitely 2.
Yeah, I think that you've had one here for sure. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure. We'll do one here. All right, so I'm Jimmy D's grateful to hashtag raise. Is it raise hell or raise a little hell? Raise hell.
Yeah, raise hell. Raise hell.
Raise hell in this glorious new adventure. Because I mean, like, what you guys are doing is awesome, but just blockchain in general,
yeah,
pretty crazy. So Dimitri, Dimitri.
That's it.
Dimitri.
Man, I'm super grateful for collaboration and people sort of putting their minds together. It's it's a big thing in the Eden community where people collaborate. 2 heads are better than one, and I'm super thankful that there's people out there that want to help for no apparent gains, if that makes sense. We're just there to work together, and I feel like the NFT space has really exploded because of that.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but you're part of the EOS starter team, so you're working pretty closely with a lot of different ideas and some of the funding that's happening over on the EOS side of things. And it's like, we come from this world where there were a bunch of maximalists, but now we're at this point where there's so many different projects that are happening, and it's funny to look over and see what different blockchains and different projects are doing, because once we take our heads out of our asses, we can really see that there's a lot of crazy things that are happening. I don't know what's happening here. Kill all these chickens, right? Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm not a massive fan of is this notion of like tribalism, and it goes further than just sort of crypto space, but in general, it's like people are more willing to identify with ideologies of their tribe rather than resting in truth. And obviously, I've noticed that a fair bit. Been copying a few messages from a few EOS OGs for building on Luna, but at the end of the day, I just feel, like I don't subscribe to tribalism, man. Like, more people, the better, more minds. I would never have connected with these people that I have. So if I didn't decide to start building on Luna, so super thankful for being involved in both communities, man.
Yeah, me too. I think it's interesting to bridge this gap and move from one blockchain to another and see what projects are doing that, right? Like we're doing that with BlueDAC as well. I mean, the rocket ship is being loaded now to move over to Polygon. I think that a lot of these older blockchains that are refusing to collaborate are still trying to take over the world. They've got it wrong, and they're going to be the ones that are going to like suffer the biggest consequences. So for all of you people who are dropping eggs here, screw off, but I'm just going to kill all these chickens. And I really like animals, actually, but
you don't say.
Yeah, I'm an animal lover, but these, it's kind of cool. But yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what happens. What's the most exciting thing for you about the space right now? I mean, of course, you're probably a little bit biased because you're working in it, but you're also a little bit different, I think, than a lot of people because you are working in with a number of different blockchains, and you're working across a different a few different facets of the technology itself. So what are you kind of excited about, like in terms of what's coming, what we're building, what's going to happen in the next like 2 to 6 months? Because I think it's going to be some really exciting things.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to sort of narrow down one or two things, but the first thing that sparks to my mind is tokenizing real estate, man, and Shintai are on that pretty hard at the moment, amongst a few other things like compliance. But I'm pretty excited to see the property industry enter the chain, man. I think that's going to be pretty revolutionary because if we look at property, I'm pretty sure that 1.6 to $2 trillion is approximately 0.4 to 0.6% of the total market cap of property around the world. So once tokenization of real estate comes into this space, man, I think that there is like ample growth to happen. So that pretty excites me a lot. And at the end of the day, like housing, either commercial or not, it's a very illiquid asset. So to create that into a liquid asset is pretty revolutionary, man.
Yeah, I've been watching Shintai for a long time, and I'm really bullish on what they're trying to achieve. And I agree. Like I think this fractalization of art as well, I think it's just gonna take the world by storm, right? Because for the first time, you can actually own a part of something that will generate you a revenue, right? Like imagine if you own, and I mean most people aren't going to be able to do this, but like imagine if you own even like 1/100th of the Mona Lisa. Every time the Mona Lisa gets viewed or gets moved from a gallery or that funding gets paid, right, it comes directly to you. And one of the really cool things about what Wax is doing, actually, I do have to shout this out, is we talked about this on one of our previous shows with NFT Blocks. What they're doing for artists is they're allowing that to be baked right into the contract. So now when an NFT is sold or a piece of art is sold, they don't have to worry about redistributing those funds to their artist. Those funds are going to be automatically like redistributed themselves, right?
That's
and I don't
awesome.
care what blockchain you're on or what preference you have. But if you're not looking at what other blockchains in the space are doing, especially when it comes to NFTs, especially when it comes to art, especially when it comes to how people interact with these assets, you're going to get left behind. Because like one thing that we've learned is all these different blockchains are doing their own thing, but they're all pulling and taking from other blockchains. And I think that's what's going to be pretty amazing about it. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. And I just want to shout this out as well. So for all the Terra people out there who might be listening, if you don't know what we were doing a little bit earlier, that's the Uplift world. We're over in the Uplift world. The Uplift world is a metaverse. There's some pretty cool stuff there, which I'm now finally able to show you guys on stream, which is kind of nice because I haven't been able to do that without my computer crashing or me getting the boot. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, we're coming up with a land estate sale, the first of our estate sales over in the gratitude server next week, I guess. Well, this week, the 6th of November, where you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to buy like a whole series of plot of lands instead of just one. which I'm pretty excited about. That should be quite interesting. Right now, we're running on Minecraft and we're operating on Wax. But again, we're of the mindset that if another blockchain is just as optimal, like we've looked into Terra, we've looked into BSC, we've looked into, I don't think we've looked into Ethereum, although but it's just because like every single action, right? You don't want to pay like $20 to do any of these things, and like you're not actually playing for actions in the game, because that's the secondary layer. But like to interact with our NFTs and the staking systems and things like that, then you will have to. So it's just not feasible on Ethereum right now for the majority of people, right? But definitely, yeah. And Brandon Woodward, like you have a really good point here, because I've noticed this as well, right? Like Wax is even far behind. Right? Like if you look at where Wax is sitting in comparison to, where Ethereum is, and then you look at the technology, it's quite crazy. One of the things I think that Terra might have going for it, though, is they've got this bridge system, and that was one of the things that I was kind of hoping that Block One would build out, but they never really did. And so like it's almost impossible to bridge things from one EOSIO chain to another at this point. But it looks like Terra's spent quite a bit of quite substantial time on getting that to work. And I think it's fully operational with 3, and they're looking at like connecting 5. They're looking at collecting Solana. They're looking at collecting, Ethereum, Polygon, I think as well. I'm no expert on Terra, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like, yeah, I think that's exciting. And once we get these connected, what's the next step? Well, the next step will be obviously to be able to connect like assets like NFTs and things like that. So that's a really exciting world, because I would when I go to the toy store and I buy some Hot Wheels, like I don't want to come home and realize that like they're a different size from the little track that I have, because those were like Pro Wheels or something like that, right? Like, and that's one of the problems. We've got all these puzzle pieces that don't necessarily fit together. And I can see like if Terra pulls off what they're trying to pull off with this bridge, that just being good for the whole ecosystem in general, right? So yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you guys got to pick. You guys got to pick. Just pick a name. Like name the first one. Just pick a name. That's all I'm gonna say. Sorry, go ahead, Dimitri.
No. Like all I was gonna say is like at the start, you mentioned the ETH versus Wax. Like think about the gains that were had for Ethereum a few years back, and then all that money just gets trickled down into development, right? I feel like Wax and a few other these chains are about to experience something similar, if not bigger, in terms of gains. And when that money does come into the ecosystem, again, it trickles down and more development occurs. Because in my probably biased opinion, the only reason why people are building on Ethereum is because of A, hype, and B, money. Like there's money there to be burnt and earned. So once this starts being introduced to other chains, man, like personally, I don't really see longevity of Ethereum in terms of like what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're in a really interesting world where we're gonna have, Martin's bringing up some points, but we're gonna have like this weird scenario where we've got, because a lot of people in the blockchain industry right now, they're your decentralists, right? Like they want things to be free. They don't want to support these companies, but these companies are starting to look, and they're starting to come in, right? I know a lot of people who are blockchain people who wear Nikes, right? And it's like, right? And it's like, I don't wear Nikes, but I do wear Birkenstocks, right? So like, every type of person, like they're always going to have their favorites when it comes to brands and things like that, right? But like, it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these original IPs will compete with some of these. I almost said tailor-made IPs, which is pretty funny. But like, yes. So how some of these original IPs will compete with some of these mass-produced ones that are already out there. And when we look at the Wax ecosystem, it's interesting to see that like some of these like big name IPs that came in didn't really do that well in comparison to some of the smaller brands that were just starting out, like Crypto. the classic example. I think like there's been a few that ultra rare guys, they've been killing it over there, right? And that's their own original IP in comparison to some of these brands that were just like, oh, we're not getting any traction, we're going to try a different blockchain, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, definitely interested to see where this whole NFT kind of craze takes us over on the Terra blockchain, because it's quite relatively new. So I guess for people who want to get in the know, go on over to the HellCatsNFT.com homepage, and at the top right corner there's a little button for Discord. Click on the Discord, join the Discord server. I guess you guys will be posting all of your announcements there, as well as on Twitter too, for the upcoming release. Is there anything else that you want to shout out before we part for the day, Dimitri?
Nothing springs to mind, man. Nothing springs to mind.
Okay, cool. Well, and please, like, I always enjoy hanging out with you, even when you're overtly serious. But
I apologize. Next time, I'll sure have a vape in my hand and a glass of ouzo next to me, and I'll get on your level.
No, it's funny though, right? Because like the last few times that we've hung out, you and I, it's been nighttime for us, right? So,
yeah.
But now, like, this is like really, this is not a first. This is the first time we've actually hung out in the morning, too. So like 9:30, like I can't have a drink. I guess I could, but like I'm in the trouble if I have a drink at 9:30 in the morning, right? Like I'm supposed to take my daughter to do some shopping or, go hang out outside of the house. But yeah, definitely come back, because like you're a mover and shaker in the space. People might not know this, but I want to dive into EOS Starter sometime with you as well. More on the NFT aspect. I want to follow your journey through the Terra blockchain. And definitely keep us posted here on this channel about upcoming future releases. And thanks for joining us as
awesome.
always.
I really appreciate that, and thanks for providing a medium to share this. So yeah, thank you, mate. I really appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm getting heckled in the comments, which is good because I should probably read about that. Yeah.
If there's any questions from the comments, I don't think I can see them on mine. Oh, I was on the wrong tab the whole time. Hey, I was on the private chat tab the whole time.
Oh, it's okay. So I've been keeping up. Taylor's been in the comments.
Okay, sweet.
But the last question was, I'm in the Discord, but I don't have the Twitter. How much is the mint price? So again, we'll say this again earlier in the stream. None of those details, I think, have been released. I think the closest that we got to a mint price was it's going to be low. It's not going to be high. It's going to be lower. But they haven't released any of these details. So if you want these details, definitely subscribe to the Twitter and definitely subscribe to the Discord, and you will be up to date. And you're going to want to be on one of those lists. So try to subscribe and be as active as you can, because if you're not active, then you might not make that list, and there might not be any HellCats left for you, which it kind of sucks. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's fair. Like as working for an NFT community myself, I definitely would rather reward people who are interested in the project and who are active, as opposed to just a bunch of whales who come in and buy it and then sell it to the active people. I mean, the whole reason we're in this space is to reward active people. Unfortunately for me, I don't always get what I want, because like I'm so busy with my own project that I can't be active. However, that said, I still support that idea of rewarding active users, because I think that's what's going to make or break, especially these original IPs, in my personal opinion. Anyway.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess probably who is your audience? That's a good question. Like, do you have an audience in mind for these NFTs, or
a particular audience in the Luna space? Well, we've been, I mentioned before, we've been tightly linked with Luna Bulls, Terrapins, and more recently Angel and Hero. So we intend to sort of feed off those projects and continue the collaboration past the launch. We've got a few ideas in mind. So they're sort of the main connections that we've made at this point.
And when HellCats in the uplift, that's all I'm gonna say.
That's something we can discuss off air.
Totally, there's totally be a HellCats tribute in there because we're not we're a metaverse and we want all objects to be represented. So I would love a HellCat golden pyramid with a little statue out front to be put up somewhere in the uplift. I would go and visit that almost all the time because something you might not know about me is like where I degen out is like ancient history and mythologies, which is funny because nobody would probably ever pick that. But yeah, just definitely follow them and like them in their social channels and you'll get all the updates. Thank you, Dimitri, for joining us. I got a jet. Thank you all for hopping on the stream. As for this channel, come back tonight at 9 p.m. We're going to have 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Austin Linney on for part 2 of another show. And over on the Crypto Rider channel, Austin Linney, he's going to be launching his NFT podcast series tonight, and Corey and I will be his guests. So definitely follow Kanzai Crypto on Twitter, or Corey Cottrell on Twitter, or the Uplift World on Twitter to get all of those updates. But generally speaking, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for today, 8 a.m. over on the Crypto Rider channel. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you, and all take care.
Cheers. Thank you.